Tonight we're going to learn, continuing our series on Dinei Hotzoah, Shabbos. We're going to discuss wearing few dinim. Can someone wear let's say someone forgot his jacket. Can someone wear the second jacket and to bring it to shul?
You allowed to wear two jackets?
Could you wear two coats, two pants? If you have a guy in the mikveh and someone took the wrong pants, can you go bring him pants from the house?
Well, I think you can't wear, besides carrying, you can't wear, there's an issue to wear two things at once, isn't there? Is it to wear two hats, to
take it off at once.
To wear, you're allowed to wear two?
You shouldn't remove them at once. Or put them on a kashal, a shikha. Another thing we're going to learn tonight is about wearing a gartel. A lot of people wear gartel when they daven. Chagura. Are they allowed to wear a gartel on the street? So let's take a look. This all starts with the Gemara, Daf Nun Tes Mabez Masechah Shabbos. 4 lines into the wide lines. There's an arrow there. The Amalei Ravina Rav Ashi. Ravina asked Rav Ashi, Kamara. Kamara was a fancy avnate, a fancy belt. Ilui Hemyana. Am I allowed to put it on top, Ilui, on top of Hemyana, a simple belt? Chagura Regila, simple belt. Amalei, today, Hemni Kamris. Are you telling me the din? Are you asking about two belts, one on top of the other? Meaning he held that the kamara was a fancy belt. Hemyani, no, is a simple belt. It's a chagura regila. So he said back to him, it's the same din. Today, hemni kamris. It's like having two simple belts on top of one another. So the question is, what did the Gemara say? Is the Gemara answering it's mutter? Or the Gemara answering it's asr? What's the din of having two regular belts on top of each other? Am I allowed to go on Shabbos with two belts on top of each other? Or not? So this is a machlokes rishonim.
It's not the Shem Noi.
This is all the Gemara we're going to learn.
No, but this is L'Shem Noi. He's putting
the first one he put on L'Shem Noi, and the second one, the one he had on the first one was Hemyani, was a simple belt. Pasha to make a belt, he needed a belt for his clothing. And then he put on a second one that was beautiful. So the shaila was, if he's allowed, if it's for Noi, so the Gemara says it's the same din as having two regular belts on top of each other. It's no difference, just because the kamara is nice, but if it has no purpose, it's the same thing as having two belts. What's the din of having two belts? The Gemara doesn't say clearly. It's not clear the Gemara's answer. So Rashi says there's two ways to learn the Gemara. Take a look on the left-hand side. A few lines above where we learned. It says, today, Hemyani Ka'amris. He says, first way he explains it, Havadei Masu. It's for sure a Masui. It's for sure a load. But Asr, and it's Asr. That's what the Gemara meant to say. This comes from the Loshen Talmidei Rabbeinu Yitzchak Nishmal Seidin. From the students of Rabbeinu Yitzchak. This is what they learned. Over Talmidei Rabbeinu Halevi, Matzasi, the students of Rabbeinu Halevi, I found, mutter. They learned the opposite. The Gemara came to say, just like two belts is mutter, so to a kamara is mutter on top of a regular belt. So we have a mamash machlokes from one extreme to the other extreme. Now, which one is Rashi feels the ikir? It says Rashi b'harisha nirli. The first one seems to me the correct one. Join the shir. The gabe hatzolah is the leika. When it comes to saving clothing, when a house is on fire, Rachman al-Islam, and wants the savings that we have in Perikol Kisvei Shabbos later on, the Gemara discusses, the Mishnah and the Gemara discuss what is allowed one to save for one's house, to take into a Shasarabim, into a Carmelis, what can he save? There are certain heterim in a situation of a lake, of a fire, and what he's allowed to save. So the Mishnah says, I don't have a copy of it here, I'm just going to say it outside, is a machlokes tanoim when it comes to clothing, what he's allowed to save. The first Tana in the Mishnah says, Tanakama, you're allowed to put on everything you could. Put on top of yourself wear whatever you could. Put on yourself 10 clothing. No matter how many clothing you want to put on. Even though you don't normally wear such type of clothing. You don't usually wear so many clothing on top of each other. No problem. Even in the winter when it's cold you don't do it. No problem. Shabbat, you need to save from the fire, take everything out. So Lamaisa, and you could take it all off outside, and you could come back and do it again. Keep on going back and forth. Even into Rishus HaRabim. And as well, you could also ask your friends to come in the house and put clothing on themselves. There's other discussions over there about bringing out food and other items, but we're going to talk about clothing, because that's the Dinei Hotzoah. So Lamaisa, that's a Tanna Kama. Rabbi Yossi limits it. He says, no. You're only allowed to take out 18 pairs of clothing. The regular 18 pairs of clothing that people normally wear. You know, your socks, your shoes, your pants, your gatkes, your undershirt, your shirt, your coat, your hat, whatever, all the different things he goes through. Yud Ches Kelim. The halacha is like the Tanna Kama, that you're allowed to take out as much as you could take out, as much as you want. You have no limits. No limits to the norm. Rabbi Yossi says you can only take out what's normal, what you normally would wear. For a normal person to walk on the street, that's what you could take out on Shabbos. That's Derech Levisha. If you want to take out more, you're going to have to go back in and take out more. Put dress upon yourself and put on more. But in one shot, you can't take out more than what's normal. But the Tanna Kama says you can take out as much as you could. That's the halacha, like the Tanna Kama. However, that is only when it comes to a deleka, when it comes to a fire. Then we're matir to take everything. But if it would not be a fire, it would be like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is talking about in the case of a fire is machmer. But we want to know in cases when there's no fire. What are you allowed to go out in the street with? We would allow as much as Rabbi Yossi allowed by a fire. Rabbi Yossi allowed only the normal kalim. It's only the normal kalim. So when you look into that mission over there, the Gemara lists out what are those 18 types of clothing that a person would normally wear, and as I mentioned there of a belt. Of a person going, you're allowed to put on a belt to take it out, right?
So what's the problem?
Now, so it only mentions one belt over there. So says Rashi, since over there Rabbi Yossi only mentions one belt, you're allowed to carry in Shabbos, mashma 2 belts you're not allowed. So I hold that the Iker, Lashon, and Gemara here, when the Gemara said today, Hamini Ka'amris, 2 belts you're asking, the Gemara meant to say 2 belts is Aser, not Mutter. Because we have 2 ways to learn the Gemara. And based on what we see later on, that you're only allowed to take out 1 belt, seems to be only allowed to wear 1 belt. Take a look at Rashi. Mutter. Now you have to read the Gemara as saying that it's mutter. I feel that the first version is correct. The first pshat that it's aser. Mishum the gabi hatzalas leiko, when we're saving from a fire. Meninon Rabbi Yossi shmanesa kalim. The Gemara counts out all the 18 kalim garments that Rabbi Yossi will allow you to take out. Well, also over there, chad chagardu the meninon b'chol kisvei hakodesh. In that parak we only mention 1 belt. If one is allowed to go out with 2 belts, Nimni Hasam today, let the Gemara count out 2 belts. So you're allowed to take out more than 1 belt.
How do we know how they're dressed in those days? In other words, today maybe you wear different styles, and maybe they do require a separate belt for a separate garment. In other words, they were a warm climate in the stomach. Unless it was colder there, and they wore.
You'll see the answer is going to become clear soon to your question. A good question. Answer will become clear. Let's take a look in Tosfos. Tosfos, the Bramaschal today, the 3rd Tosfos on the right side of the Gemara. 3rd Tosfos. Tosfos also seems to lean to the pshat in Gemara that it's aser. 2 belts on top of each other, it would be aser.
Yeah.
Today, Hemis Ka'amris, Lashon Echad, the first Lashon in Rashi, Pirush Bekonta is Le'isr. And the way he brings the Gemara from Parakol Kisvei is a little different the way Rashi brought it in. He asked it as a question. Rashi brought that Gemara as a raya. Because if they only said one belt is mutter, not more than two, not more than one. And the way Tosfos brings us a question. Actually, Tosfos, when he looked into that Gemara, he discovered that there's actually two belts mentioned. So it's a problem. L'chora mentions whether you're allowed to have two belts. So how can Rashi is saying, according to the Lashon, that it's Asur, you're not allowed to have two? The Gemara mentions two. What does he find? It says, Afakat d'chashe perak ukisiv yudches kelim punda v'chagoyer. Well, Pirush Hasav Makundas Rashi explains that punda hu ezer. Punda is a belt. So you have punda and that Gemara and chagoyer. So you do have two belts. So how could Rashi learn Pshat in the Gemara and it meant to say it's Asur if the Gemara clearly said you're allowed to go out with two belts? So he answers, and this will help explain Barak's question.
No, this is Barak's question, because a belt for each garment, for the top button.
Sheyesh, Chapping Tosfos' answer, Kigoy sheyesh beged mafsik ben tayim. When you have a beged in between, when you have when this Gemara said it's also to wear two belts, it meant on one clothing. On one beged, you're wearing two belts. But if you're wearing a belt on each beged, you have a coat, you have a belt, you have on your jacket a belt. Each garment, each beged can have its own belt. And that's mutter. That's what the Gemara meant in Parako Kisvei. But today, Hamnizeh Agabezeh Osir. Now he adds in a good point that he does a din of chagoyer. Is chagoyer is malbushim. The halacha is you're allowed to put on as many clothing you want, and 2 shirts, 3 shirts. How come we don't say the same thing about belts? He explains the chiluk is leidami lekam malbushim shadam leivish b'shel hakoyer. When it comes to you're cold, you wear a lot of clothing on top. You wear a sweater, and you wear a coat, and a jacket. So you wear a lot of clothing. Today, hemni ma hano yesh. When you're wearing 2 belts on one beged, what did I gain with it? What was the purpose? Vein derech lachker. That's not the derech to do that. It's not the derech levisha to go around with 2 belts on one beged. Who does that?
Well, it's not.
Masahu. Therefore, it's a masa. You're carrying a masa.
We said it's not the derech to wear a winter coat in the summer, but as long like the Rebbe wore. But he wore it, so.
But this is never. No one does the whole entire year.
So I want to do it now. I want to make it in my levush now.
If you're able to create a fad, if you're able to get a whole group to do it,
it's not. We see that
if you're from the style, the people that are able to create fads, then you create a new fad, and it'll become a style.
Right. In this thing, we don't say that a das yochid can't go against what the Rambam do.
Good, but one person could. Yeah, you can't. You can't das yochid mamish. Yeah, but if a whole kehila, a whole community, a mokim does something, then it would become mutter. If a lot of people do it, then even if it's not the roiv, it would be taka become derech lebisha. Either a big group of people do it, or a certain part of the year people do it. Then it'll be good for the rest of the year. So a certain place can help the entire city, or a certain type of people that do it would help the rest of the city. And as well, a certain time of the year people do it makes it mutter for the rest of the year. So if you do it in the winter, you put on a lot of clothing. Automatically in the summer, you're allowed to wear a lot of clothing.
So this is din hagofech ledin? If there's a rov putting it?
All the time like this, yeah. And this Dinei Hotzoah, it's constantly changing from every generation.
Isn't it normal that if sometimes a person has a belt for his raincoat, right? And then he's about to go and he says, "Oh, I forgot my gartel." So he has to take off his raincoat and do it. It's normal for people to put their gartel over their raincoat.
You can't.
During the week, I do it all the time.
Yeah, but you can't. On Shabbos you can't. We'll see soon. Some wanted to say that it's mutter. Gartel's different. So Lamaisa, what comes out from Rashi and from Tosfos, that comes out Lamaisa, Rashi says clearly that the Lashon Asur is Iker. The Gemara said, today Hamnika Amras meant to say it's Asur. You're not allowed to put 2 belts. And Tosfos also. So it comes out 2 belts you're not allowed to wear in the same beged, but 2 pairs of clothing or 3 you're allowed to wear one on top of another because that's what someone would do in the winter. So since being Meis HaKoyer you do that, the Meis HaKshamim, you're allowed to do Meis HaChamo.
If it's the same color belt, double.
No.
Right.
This is the klal. 2 belts, you have no purpose with it. There's no hana.
Can I tell you?
Ain't derech lakaba.
If you're in the place that's very, very cold, and you, for whatever reason, one gartel could be a levush. You want as much. Let's say you don't have sufficient clothing. A person would put on another gartel. Number 1. Number 2,
it's wide. Only if it's wide.
Yeah, but also that just to keep your begotten more close to your skin.
Oh, well, one is enough, no?
Not customary.
Listen, if it's evident, the poskim say, we'll see. We could take a look. We'll learn in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Halacha L'Maisa.
If you're in Siberian, it's very.
If it's clear
The Indian of
that there's two
Nera,
purposes
or
for
Nera,
it.
comes up many different ways in the Hilchos of Shabbos. Okay, it's nearer like the cooking, it's nearer like the...
By the way, L'Maisa, even those that hold that, even we hold it's also to do it on one beged, to put two, it's not awesome in a Torah.
Right.
It's not awesome in a Torah.
It's not
It's
Hotzoah.
midrabanan because you are putting it on, being loivish it.
Right.
You're putting it on as a malbush. So the poskim say, even though it's not mashmalei from Torah, Torah says ein derech lach b'yom masehu, but l'maisa the poskim say it's a derabanan. It's awesome derabanan.
It's like when you make
You
a
need
Shabbos
to have
cake.
hana from it. You need to have a tzoyrich in it. You need to have a non at tzoyrich. If your belt is here to hold up your pants, what is another belt doing there? Clothing, I understand why you have a second. You're wearing a sweater on top of your shirt. That makes sense because you're cold. But why are you wearing two belts on top of each other? So it's an issue.
Yeah.
So you have to do something derech levisha. So the Chazal say every beged is allowed to have one gartel on it. This we have to think about if this changes today, because Lamaisa, no one wears in every beged a gartel, a belt. L'mashal, no one wears in their shirt a belt. So would someone be allowed to wear? He has a belt on his pants. Can he put another belt on his shirt? And the Chazal say in every beged, but our begodim we don't have the derech to put on and have no tzoyrich and no hana. So for me, it's very difficult to see why one won't be allowed to put on a belt. Let's say he wants to carry a belt out because his friend needed a belt in the shul.
Right.
Or someone was in a house somewhere and needed a belt and an older person didn't want to walk back home. He's getting for his father, for his uncle. He put on a second belt on his shirt. If we go straight with the language of Chazal, if another beged, from the Tosfos, then you're allowed to. But Lamaisa, from the reasons behind it, it's difficult to understand because there's no hana.
Well, I'll tell you like this.
I don't know if it's mutter.
In Siberia, there would be hano.
Maybe in
No
Siberia it'll
joke.
be mutter.
You want to when you
I want to make a chatira. It has to do with this issue of what's considered the Hilchos Roiv. A place like Brooklyn is huge, so you got lots of different...
You don't need to have roiv. Minority is enough in this case.
Okay, so at least what constitutes a group that we consider, so he wouldn't be mitzvah from the klal of his group?
If the Belza Hasidim do it, it's enough for all of Klal Yisrael. If Lubavitch does enough for Klal Yisrael, if a certain neighborhood will do it,
So then you don't even have to establish...
Yes, in Siberia
You
they
could
do
find
it.
somebody somewhere...
not
who
one person,
justifies it.
not one person.
No,
In
no, I'm
Siberia,
saying
in
a group.
Siberia.
A group of normal people that do it.
when you look at the people that are survivalists, they try to keep their clothing skin tight. There's a reason why, because there's no gaps. So if you're in a place that you're mamish, you're in a
Maybe
in a
if
place
it's
for survival,
knicker, maybe
you
it's
wanna
knicker.
You want to keep your clothing as close as possible to your body.
If you can make it in a way that it's knicker, that's what it is. If you can't,
Well, no one's looking under your coat, at your shirt.
I don't know if the survivalists are a regular group of people. We have to work it out. Now, let's take a look in the Shulchan Aruch Harav, to the Shulchan Aruch, and I want to get a few tshuvas of today's poskim on the issue. Sif Mem Beis. There's a number of things to discuss. We're going to read through the these two sifim. Mem Beis Mem Gimel. Muta lots of shesarabim mishnei balbushim hashavim zal gabe zeh. Two of the same clothing was allowed to go on top of another. Even though you only need one of them. You only are removing carrying out the second one only for a friend, for someone else. You want to bring him a sweater, you want to bring him something. And the second one that you're putting on does not seem to be like it's a burden, a load. Since you're wearing it, this is the shita. Oh, before I go further, the mechaber and Shulchan Aruch to be serious of holes that you are allowed to wear two belts on top of each other. Very important. I forgot to mention. The shita that we were talking about till now is Rashi and Tosfos and majority of Rishonim. They say that the Gemara, when the Gemara answered, Ravina asked Rav Ashi, Kamara Yilui Mehemina Mai, you're allowed to put a kamara on top of a hemina. Amalei said back to the Hemnikam, is you telling me that you're telling me the din of two belts on top of each other? So Rashi said that there's two ways found how to learn the Gemara. You could say the Gemara was answering that that's Asr. Two belts on top of each other is Asr. Or we say two belts are a mutter. It's not clear from the Gemara. Rashi and Tosfos hold that the Iker is that the Gemara came to say it's Asr. But the Beis Yosef wants to be medayik from the Rambam and the Rif that they both hold that it would be mutter. They hold that the pshat of the Gemara is mutter. Why? Because they don't say it clearly, but both of them delete this Gemara. This Gemara, the Rambam and the Rif do not bring down this Gemara in their halachas. This whole din is not there. So the Beis Yosef infers from this this censorship of this line, that was probably they held it was mutter, because if they held it was asr, they have to tell us it's asr. So based on this, since the Beis Yosef made his bezdin was his main chachamim that he based Shulchan Aruch on was the Rif, the Rambam, and the Rosh. And he said whenever he has majority one way, he went with the majority. So since even though the Rosh paskins with like Tosfos and Rashi, that two chaguris is asr, but the Rambam and the Rif are the Roiv and the Bezdin, and they hold the opposite of the Rosh. They delete the whole din. So the Ma'aser, the Mechaber and Shulchan Aruch says you're allowed to wear two belts on top of each other, even though people don't normally do it. It's not the derech to do it, but since you're wearing it in the way you're supposed to wear a belt. That's how you wear a belt. You're wearing the belt the normal way you wear a belt. Elamai, you don't need a second belt. We don't care. We're matter it. That's the Mechaber. The Ramah Shulchan Aruch follows, like he usually does, follows the Ashkenazi Chachamim against the Beis Yosef's Bezdin. The Beis Yosef's Bezdin was impartial because the Rambam and the Rif were both Sfardim, and the Rosh was Ashkenazi. God, the Rosh later on ran away. He was a Talmud of the Merami Rottenberg, and Meir Rottenberg. When Meir Rottenberg was put inside the tower, the Rosh ran away because he knew he was next. So he went to Spain, and there he met the Rashba there. The Rashba was from the Svardish Chacham, and he stayed in the Rashba's house for a bit, and they had a very good time together. And then the Rosh became a Rav in a shul, and a Svardish shul. It was probably one of the first Ashkenazi Rabbanim in a Svardish shul.
So it was not even like Svardim?
No, the Poel, the Rosh's Psakim were like the Ashkenazi. But this is the Bezdin, with the Rambam, the Rif were all Svardim. So the Maaseh, when the Ramah came in, he always used to bring Tosfos and the Mordechai and the Rosh and the Goyis Maimon. It's all the Ashkenazi Shechacham. So over here, since the Rosh and Tosfos and the Mordechai all held that two Chaguras is Asr, so the Ramah says it's Roy to be Machmir. It's Roy to Asr it. So the Ma'aser Halacha, we follow the Ramah. So those who follow the Ramah, follow the Ramah. So that's why he says over here in the beginning, he brings off the Mechaber's there. Filu minimal bush in the third line. Filu minimal bush derech loyal mislam b'shaim zarach atzmi. Even if you put on two pairs of clothing, which is not the derech ever to wear two of them for yourself, you're going shtei chagur zu agabe zu, two belts one another. Ein hashniya chashuva masoi. The second one is not considered a load that you're carrying. The Mechaber sheet is, since you are wearing it in the normal way you wear a belt, a chagura, you're allowed to do it, even though you have no tzorich, no need for it. However, we bring now the Ramah, the Yesh Cholkim Bazeh, v'oisim shtei chaguris. This is the shita of Rashi, Tosfos, the Rosh, the Mordechai, which the Ramah paskins like them. Shekiyim and Shaloi ba'atzmi yishum ha'nov v'te'elos v'shasei me'achagura ashniya ve'ena metzia elo l'tzerech haveri harehu masoi v'chein roi linig. He doesn't write it's mamasha isser the Ramah, but he writes v'chein roi linig. You should not wear two belts on top of each other, even though you're wearing it the normal way you wear a belt. It's derech levisha. However, you don't have any hana, so therefore looks like a masoi. He's not saying it's midiraisa problem. But this shita holds midrabanan. It looks like you're carrying it because what do you need it for?
Oh, but Zion is sure it should be okay. saying here 2 on one.
If you have on a different beged, it will be
Different
okay.
No, not dafka. And, what I'm thinking over here is it's only dafka in the case of a belt where it's really near it, but where he's wearing 2 sweaters that are identical, or 2 shirts that are identical, or 2 pants that are identical, the halacha of nira doesn't apply. It's only dafka with a
Why?
chagura.
Why?
Because he's only bringing it in the case of the.
Oh, only chagura has this problem.
Every single example.
Yeah, other things you're allowed to.
Yeah, only chagura has
Yeah,
this.
only chagura has this problem because other clothing, when you wear 2 sweaters or 2 shirts, that's because you could be cold. You do that.
Right.
So you have
talking
enough from it.
He's talking about putting 2 belts on top of your sweater.
No, I'm saying only in the case of chagura,
Oh.
it's right to be machmir.
Right? Yeah,
Chagura
yeah.
only applies across
No,
the
no,
board.
no one argues my Balbushim.
I was too begodim on summertime when it's boiling out.
We just-
Correct. But a yois that part of the year it is normal. That's enough to be machshav for the rest of the year. Ain't a chanami. But a yois that for part of the year it is good.
Like that, you suffering when you put the double
Most
clothes.
That person is doing it so stama not suffering, right? But al kopanim it could be.
He's doing it to
Tzedek Chavere. Ain't a chanami. The answer is that dinim of Hotzoah, it's enough that a certain part of the year people do it. It's enough to make it mutter. A certain group of people or do something, it's enough for everyone.
I was trying to say,
Even if it's a mute.
The
even a
other,
belt is a little.
the other Indian is that when you put on a
Since it
bed,
doesn't work.
the
It's a
other,
lavush, the belt, and you're wearing it derech lavish, the normal way to wear a belt. And that's why the Mechaber says it's good. But the Ramah says, Afal became the Rabbanon, since you have no tzairich, there's no hana in that belt. There's no one can understand why you're doing it. There's no purpose to it at all. The whole entire year. There's no day in the year when you need 2 belts. Therefore, you should not do it.
there's another
V'chein roi linhig.
There's another swallow also.
Yeah.
Because a regular beged, you have to go through a real big procedure to get it on. Okay, you got to put your arm through the sleeve, then you got to put your other arm. You got to pull up one leg at a time of the pants. But with a belt, it's very easy for it to drop off, and you have to tie it in such a way where you can't
Yeah,
tie it.
that's for sure. The belt has to be tight and tight.
So I think maybe that's why they're more machmir with
The
belt.
Sefer Chasidim says, the Sefer Chasidim from Yehuda Chassid says that when you put on a belt, you have to make sure it's not like loose, Lamai says, let's read further. Even if you're only taking out the, even if you take out the chagura for yourself, a bigger chiddush. I'm not taking out for my chaver the second belt. For myself, I want it. You have a ripped belt, it's not so nice, and on top of that, you're going to put a chashuva belt. It's still aser, shekiven sheba chashuva, bilvada, dailoi. It's enough for you to have the top upper belt, l'tzoyrech l'vishasei, harei shniya, the bottom one, chashuv masei. Afapi, shu chagerba. Even shein derech lach, even though you're wearing it, and the normal way of wearing it. But it's not the derech to do that. Even the Ramah is going to ask him, if you're going to find a kehillah, the survivalists, if that's the derech in that place, for them to do it that way, to chagoris, for some reason, a style or whatever it is, this mishagas, that they do it over there, and it's okay.
Is this where there is an Erev, or is this in...
All in a place where there's no Erev.
Obviously,
All the
otherwise it's
dinner.
shaila.
Mikol Makeh, Bechol Makeh, in all places, now he brings Toises in the Koda, Toises in the Rosh, Mutter Lotzes, Ki Bebeis Chavguris, even the Shita that answers, the Ramah, that you're not allowed to wear 2 belts, but it's Mutter, Kishish Malbush, Mafsik Beinehem, when you have a Malbush in between each of the belts, you're allowed to, when you have the belt underneath on top of your shirt, well, you're in the upper belt on top of gabe sarvel, which means what? A coat, no? Apron.
In Hebrew,
Yeah.
in Hebrew it means
A
a
rope.
sleeve.
A rope.
Modern Hebrew, at least.
Yeah. Sha'az yesh hana, why would then be mutter? Sha'az yesh hana, v'te'elas ha'shneim. I have a hana, a purpose why I need both. For each bagged. V'chein b'chol, in any situation, sheyesh loy ba'atzma hana, v'te'elas l'vishasi, if he personally can have hana, and he has a purpose to wear both, even though now, at this minute. The reason why he's wearing it is not for the hana. He doesn't have in mind the hana. He's taking it out for his chaver. Since there are times that he would do it for himself because he gets hana from it. Afilu oisim shiroi ka'amim in derech l'slabish shnayim hasham l'tzerech atzmei misheich halukim zal gabizeh or shnei sarvelim zal gabizeh based on polois 2 pairs of socks zal gabizu. Even though most of the year you would not go out with 2 of them, but a hoiv a meisakor since in the winter time when it's cold derech ulufa'amim l'slabish shnayim mishleishim bushim it's a derech sometimes to wear 2 or 3 pairs of clothing, even the same type. 2 sweaters, 3 sweaters, or even more. Now that makes it chashuv as a derech malbush for the rest of the year. So I want to take out 2 coats and I want to put a second one. I could do it. Give to my chaver a coat. He doesn't have a coat. I'm going to bring him to his house a coat. You're allowed to go with 2 hats. Shekain darki b'choyel losum koiva gadol koiva cotton, to put a bigger hat on top of a small, which l'chora means a yarmulke, because 2 hats on top of each other is not regular. You have to be careful that the hats on the top is still tight enough on that's not going to fall off, fly off in the wind. Now, so the Maisa here it's clear the din of 2 chaguris. And Moshe Feinstein, someone asked him Moshe Feinstein like this. He said he wears a gartel when he davens. He wants to know if he can wear a gartel on his pants. His pants already have a belt. They already have a chagura. Is he allowed to wear a gartel? And Moshe says he doesn't understand what type of kash is. It's mamash a clear Dinei Shulchan Aruch. It's aser. We pass him like the Ramah. How could he be matis 2 chaguris?
But what did he want to do? He wanted to.
And he said, "What a gartel."
He wanted it for tefillah.
Yeah. To walk in the street to come to shul. I don't know.
He was just
why.
embarrassed. He didn't want anyone to see it. Right?
I'm not sure why. He did it that way.
If he did it out tefillah.
Take a look on the after that. We have the Igus Moshe, a copy of the Igus Moshe in the right column. Umashik Asafta. This that you write. Yeah, that page. Yeah. Umashik Asafta. The right column on the top. I made a note there. You want to daven with a gartel like those who hold the aflidan. Even we nowadays, we wear pants. We don't have long robes. We wear pants. So ain liberay service. The thing when you're davening, the heart is not allowed to see the erva, the makam abris. So you have to have something in between. Then they used to have a robe, one long robe. So and they didn't wear underpants.
How'd they keep the robe closed with a belt, though?
So you have to. Yeah, they leave it open. No, it's open.
Like that.
So was he wearing underpants?
No.
So of course he didn't have it open. He didn't have he went like this without.
No,
It's all the way down.
It's
all robe. It's like Larry's walking.
Like a jalabia.
First
A jelly bean?
They do wear
Jalabia.
Nowadays they wear, but I didn't discuss now. I'm saying then. And that's what it seems like. So there was a problem. Liber royis erva. So you wear a gartel in between the mafsik. Cover so that the heart will see the erva.
And second of all, wearing the hatzafat like erva, you have to have that all day long because besides tefillah, you also say brachot throughout the day.
No,
It appears from the whole sugi about the belt out late that see in those days like when it's just like the Arabs. They have like a sash, like a decorative sash, which apparently they wear all day.
If it's tight and you're able to tighten it.
No, excuse me. They don't wear that necessarily all day. But the underpants they wear, which agav, are come down below the knees for sanuah. But they used to put the sash on, especially
if it's a sash which is tight.
And that's why those who don't wear a gartel That's that's their reasoning for it, because the gartel is not hapsik, but it's just for Hikol Yisrael.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
the one that
let's take a look. Let's take a look. So he says, Aflidan, you would wanna wear a gartel. Why? Even nowadays, we wear pants. We have no Isser of Liberes ever because the pants are blocking. But you hold that there are those opinions that hold you still have to wear a gartel. You have to prepare. You have to make a hachana to davening. So not all Liberes ever, but he can likas Hashem alekecha. And you, for some reason, I don't know why, you have no other you only can wear it on your pants. Maybe like Rabbi Yosef said that he was embarrassed, he was walking the streets, he didn't want to show his gartel for some reason. You feel that because of this, maybe we should be mattered. Timiani, I'm surprised. How did you think that you could be matter Isser just because you want to wear a gartel? Even if it was a mitzvah say deraisa, also the haitzi, you're not allowed to take out something in a shasarab. Even if it's a deraisa.
But it's not a case of
even if you want to take it through a chatzah, which is a reshus hayachid, but they did not make an eruv chatzeris, you don't bring the knife for the mitzvah mila. It's a reshus hayachid, but they did not make a eruv chatzeris. Because the Isra of wearing of Hitzah, because it's so important to wear a gartel. Even those opinions which hold that you do need to still wear a gartel because of hikin, it's not ma'akiv tefillah. It's not b'diavad. Bekitzer, he goes on to discussion about gartel. L'poyel, Ramesha holds it's only a midas chassidus to wear a gartel. It's only a midas chassidus to wear a gartel. So he doesn't understand. How could you be doicha? Let's take a look.
Well, can I ask one question? How is it doimed to a belt on a belt? This is a gartel on a belt. It's two different malbushim.
No, but one is a choshev and one is not choshev. I don't know.
Bekitzer, he tells him at the ending, the last line, he says, what you have to do is, you have to have your gartel shul in your situation. To spal the mocher.
Want to make it into it says
The tachel Shabbos be'eza knesset to spal. You have to make up what shul you're going to daven on Shabbos. So like he doesn't want the hagura, and the Moshe has a good point. How can you wear two gartels? However, Yosef is another point bringing up that the gartels is a whole different type of beged. It's a beged for tefillah. So the hana of it is a different type of hana. It's a hana more of hikun likas Hashem alekecha. So maybe I could taina, yes, I have one belt for my pants, that was one hana. And now even I'm wearing this second the gartel on the very same beged, but a yes that has a different nekuda to it, has a different thing. And that's l'chora what the person wrote to the Moshe held. The Moshe somehow understood from him, he felt that the shoyel was asking that we should be matter because it's such an important thing, a gartel, we should do away with Isra Yitzah. The shoyel never meant that, B'Pashtus. He never meant to say, this should be doicha this. He meant to say, since it's here for the purpose of hikin likas Shem lekecha, as a achana for tefillah, therefore you have enough for it, and it's a separate idea. So you can have your chagor for the mechasayim, and they have a separate chagora, which you have a different tzayich for it. Just like we saw clearly that if you have another tzayich for the two chaguras, you're allowed to wear it even on the same beged. So, I don't want to argue with the Moshe, it's difficult, but we have to understand that we have to know L'maise, if one could do this or not, to wear a gartel on the belt. L'chatchila, for sure, one shouldn't do it.
The gartel is not Tashmish Kedusha?
No.
It's part of Tashmish Kedusha, because
there's no din of gartel.
Can I say something? Also,
even tzitzis is not Tashmish Kedusha.
You're talking here about a misnagid, because you see he doesn't know how to keep... The reason why I put it in his loops, because he was afraid he wouldn't know how to make a proper knot on a shirt. Otherwise, why is he such a shirt? He should have put it on a shirt instead of his loops in his pants.
You can
He was
wear
afraid he
dumpling
couldn't make
in
it
the
a proper
bathroom,
knot.
They put it in the
That was
pocket and
snug.
leave it outside.
Huh?
I see people go to the bathroom with their gartel. No.
What is that?
Really, the
what is
mice with the
We
gartel.
ask if you're allowed to go to the bathroom with a gartel.
Better
you're
not to.
supposed to,
Better
right?
not to.
Huh?
Better not to.
It's a
Better
thing
not?
for tefillah.
No.
Even
Because it's
Hasidic
miyuchel
make
tefillah,
their
like a
hats
kittel. A kittel, it's better not to go with
I
a
see a lot
kittel.
of people.
The kittel also?
No, not a kittel. No, people I don't know. But
Kittel,
a lot-
Gabi the kittel, it says, Lamashal talis. You don't see people going with a talis. A talis and a kittel, it says that since it's a talis
Miyuchel
cotton, we do
tefillah.
go. Talis cotton, you do go to the bathroom. Talis gadol and a kittel is miyuched for tefillah.
But the other Hasidim, they're wearing the talis cotton
On top of the shorts.
they take it out.
They take it off
They take it
No,
out.
they put it
Even their hats they take off.
when they go.
Yeah, it's,
When they go to the bathroom.
maybe because that's not practical with the talis cotton. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe there's other people that are more machmir, but the Shor and Shulchan Aruch it says that a talis gadol and Hilchos Yom Kippur brings when a kittel that you shouldn't wear it because it's miyuchel tefillah. Minadin, it's just because covered. It's not minadin. It's not covered. You shouldn't wear it. So the same thing is l'chor with a gartel. Since it's miyuchel tefillah, maybe you could tie if someone wears a gartel a whole day. If he goes around wearing, there are some chassidim that wear a gartel a whole day. Somebody wear a gartel a whole day, so then it becomes like one of his regular. It's not miyuchel for tefillah.
Regular levush.
It's a regular levush, just like his hat and his jacket and
He
everything
only
else.
knows holy Jews, so that's what he says.
The belts is with that.
Whole wear a whole day,
Yeah.
right? So in a chanami, it's not miyuchel for tefillah for them. I don't see a problem with them going to the bathroom.
The bottom line, the Lubavitch Chassidim, they're wearing gartel.
What's feel?
No, they outside without a regular.
I think the
Shabbos,
Belgians,
Shabbos,
the
yeah.
Belgians that wear the garter, the only one who spell bells is with a T. Those are the
So that I want to discuss now.
belts.
So once we're mentioning
I saw him wearing gartel even when
bells wear a whole day, right?
Even in the mikveh, they wear the
even
garter.
they don't.
There were even Gedolei Chasidei Chabad, not many, but there were Gedolei Chasidei Chabad that also wear gartel a whole day.
It's the matzah.
The Berke Chain, Allah Shalom, wear a whole day a gartel. There's an inyan. There's such an inyan. We're not all by that madrega, but there is such an inyan to where always stay connected.
Is that in Yerushalayim or
There are certain Chassidim.
These have a
Belzer Chassidim do.
So why does Sfaradim do not take this minhag?
No,
Why Sfaradim doesn't have
the gartel. Even the Litvisha don't wear gartel. It's a Chassidish minute. Gartel is Chassidim. Only Chassidim wear gartel. You see someone wearing a gartel,
it? It's a chassid.
either he's a chassid or his father, or Zayda, was a chassid. Back, all the way back. It's a chassidish thing.
It's because of what I said, that among the Arab society, they used to wear the sash, but like today, people wear a tie for an ornament. They used to wear the sash. So the sash was not part of the everyday garment.
Those communities that
It was
always
just
wear a
something
tie,
to put on for tefillah.
the only people that always wear a tie, so for them, he can look to Shalom Akecha should be wearing a tie, because if they're not wearing a tie, then that's the way you have to come for the melech. So, Lamai said there is some discussion about wearing the gartel, not on Shabbos, not when you're walking to shul. When you're taking the gartel, if the gartel is meant only for tefillah, so are you allowed to take it out from your house and wear it in order to carry it to shul to daven there? If you're not a Belzer Chassid, you're not wearing a gartel the whole day, and you're only wearing it in order to bring it to shul. Is it mutter to do that?
What about a talus also? Bring a talus from your house.
Oh, Shaila, could you take a talus also to shul? Talus is a little easier because
it's like a shawl.
it's like a big, it's like much more like a
We
lavush.
discussed that last week.
Yeah, it's more easy the talus. L'maisa, take a look. The Debretziner in his Shuvas Be'er Moshe, the bottom, he brings up this Shaila, and he's very machmir. On the bottom, right hand corner, after a Moshe Shuvah. It's the fifth page in the booklet.
Didn't have a title.
Fifth page, Shuvas Be'er Moshe. On the right hand column, all the way in the bottom, Sif Yud Aleph. After a Moshe's Shuvah.
Oh.
The Be'er Moshe. He writes as Acher kol hakosav amarti l'shoyalai dvar Hashem. Those that ask me what my opinion is, be'inyan lotzis b'chagura shel tefillah, b'shuk, ala me'il shemeshi. They're wearing zaydins, the silk kapota, the bekasha. And they want to wear a gartel on top of it. I said like this: the kol mi shekol haShabbos gama beisein helach lechagura. Someone who the entire Shabbos, even in his house, doesn't go without a belt. He doesn't remove the chagura only when he goes to sleep. It becomes not a beged of tefillah, it becomes a beged of Shabbos. It's Shabbos clothing. Just like you're allowed to go out with your Shabbos clothing, so my gartel is my Shabbos clothing. Aval, he's very machmir, the Ber Moshe. If this is a person when he comes home, he takes off his bekasha with the gartel, he puts on a tish chalat without the chagura. For sure, if he doesn't take off his bekasha, he just takes off the gartel. When he walks around on Shabbos, he takes a Shabbos walk. Does he walk with a gartel? If he does not walk with a gartel, then it's not a beged Shabbos for him. Then ish kazeh sheloi kedin oisa. The top of the next column. He holds then the Ber Moshe becomes a tefillah, a beged shel tefillah, and you have no reason to wear it in the street, because whenever you're going to take a walk, you're not going to wear it, and you're going to go walking around, you're not going to wear it. You only wear it when you go to shul and back, because you just want to carry it to shul. So that's problematic, because it means like this. It means basically that there's no derech levisha. When are you allowed to wear a beged? When you have enough from it. You don't need this beged in the street, because you don't wear it in the street. So the only reason why you're going to wear it is to get it to shul. You're coming back to the problem that you're wearing something without any hana from it. There's no purpose to it. If it's a belt, it's holding up your pants. But if it's a gartel, it's only there for tefillah. So why do you need it when you're walking during the street? So similar to wearing two chaguras. Just like when you wear two chaguras, we say the second chagura is asur because no purpose, no hana. Even when you have one gartel. If that gartel has no purpose besides for being when you're in shul davening, then when you're in the street, there's no hana from it. So even though you're wearing it, and loit mechaber would be okay, but the chol loit ramah who asks two chaguras, even one gartel should be a problem. So he's very machmer. However, Mamaisa Baruch Hashem there's mekilim, and the Tshuvas King and Torah brings up a very good, nice svara. And
I will ask you this.
Yeah.
Topic. The belt that we put the keys on. How do we allow to carry that? Are we doing because we're wearing it because of lavosh, or are we doing because we need the keys to get to the door?
Okay, so let's finish the shtickle and we'll get to that. These days I saw someone who was mefakfik. He questions those who are going out with a gartel on Shabbos. Maybe he's referring to the Ber Moshe, I don't know. Saying those people that don't walk out on generally in Shabbos with a gartel, I saw people say that you're not allowed to go out with it on Shabbos. But based on what I wrote earlier, now Yish Loimer the ain't pick because there's no problem. Why? The kiven the hoylach b'bishas tefillah kapanim. Since you go with it during davening, in Canaan is a derech lasses king. I don't care if you don't go on the street, says the king in Torah. If in shul you go like that, it's enough that part of the time that you go in shul like that to make it enough, even for the times that you don't. Just like we say, if the winter time you go like that, even the majority of the year you don't go like that, it's enough to help for the rest of the year. So if in shul you go like that, that's enough to make it a derech levisha. Im kena is a derech lasses kain. V'havale kapanim derech malbosh hamoni b'yud chaskelim. And he brings an example. The example is like this. The Gemara says in Shabbos that atonin refers to a group of people that were like runners. They used to run. And they have on their shoulders like a a towel that is folded over, for their sweat or whatever it is, that they have a towel around their necks. So the Gemara says that since the Natanin do it, those are runners, the runners do it, so that will make it mutter for everyone else, even though they're not running. Comes out, if a certain group of people do it that way, it's mutter. Even they only do it when they run. So over here too, since they daven in shul that way, the Beged Shabbos, since in shul they do it that way, it's enough even for the street. It's no different in the case that the Gemara brings it at Tonin. They would not go with this sheet folded over their shoulders only when they ran. They used to wear it. And we see the Gemara says, even when they don't run, you're allowed to do it, and even other people that are not runners are allowed to do it. Even more, he goes a bigger chiddush to King Torah, and it makes a lot of sense. Even if you are someone who's not a chassid, and you don't wear it when you daven, still in all, since there are chassidim that daven with it, that makes a mutter for all of Klal Yisrael, because it's a derech levisha. I think it makes a lot of sense. The halacha is, I don't know, I've heard of it. He has a lot of choice. Yeah? No, it's not Strasbourg.
It's a Strasbourg over here. It's a Hobbit, that's it.
He was in Strasbourg?
Yeah, before that.
And then he came here part of the Eidah.
Strasbourg.
Okay. It makes a lot of sense. So the klolim is that it's enough that you have hana a certain part of the year. So, besides, once we know that our people, let's take it a step further, even make it easier. As long as we know that there are certain groups of Hasidim, let's say the Belza Hasidim, that they're wearing the gartel the entire day, even though you only wear it in shul. And whenever you go out on Shabbos, you never wear it. But since there is a group of people, a large group of people that do it, even though they're a minority, a miut, but it comes to the Dinei Hotzoah, that's enough to make it a derech levisha. That's enough. There's a large enough group doing it, that makes it a normal thing to do. So even though I'm doing it with my kavanah, I don't want to wear it. I'm only bringing it to the shul. I don't care about your kavanah. When it comes to Dinei Hotzoah, almost all the cases, it doesn't make a difference what your kavanah is. It makes a difference, Mike, but what does it look like it? It looks normal, derech levisha. Some people have a no when they do it that way. So for you, it's also good. So this is the kitzur. Now you asked the question, the negay the keys. We have people on Shabbos want to carry their keys. One of the methods is that people take a belt and they put the keys as part of their belt. They make it longer. Elastic, a piece of elastic, and they put the keys on. So the Maisa, we have to know like this. I find this din what some people do questionable, and I'm not a Rav, I'm not going to say, but when you wear it on the tzitzis, people call it tzitzis bendel.
It's a purpose to the tzitzis should
exactly should be straight.
Yeah.
Right. There's an inyan in Hilchas tzitzis. There is an opinion which holds that when you wear tzitzis, if the tzitzis are bunched up together underneath your shirt, the tzitzis are bunched up, it doesn't have the sheer tzitzis of amal amma, and you're not considered like you're wearing tzitzis. So therefore, this shita holds that you have to actually smoothen it out, and it should actually be covering your body. It's not enough if it's bunched up together. So therefore, they will wear, some of them will wear, well, you're tucking in your pants, it stays straight, or they wear on it a gartel, or a piece of elastic, where they keep the holder straight. This is the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch Harav, in his Siddur, brings down this opinion, and he says that a person should be machmer like this opinion. So therefore, you have a lot of Lubavitcher Chassidim, that they're machmer, and they wear something, a whole week they wear something underneath. And so some people, what do? They take this piece of elastic, and they create it with clips on it, and they even sell it now in the stores, you can buy it in the stores, and they put clip onto keys. And they put keys, one key, another key, and they clip it on, and they make their belt longer. Now, there's no problem making keys part of your belt, if it makes your belt longer, then it becomes part of your chagura. However, the shiloh over here is, what is the hana? You have to have hana in your chagura. When they put it on the tzitzis, you have hana. But someone sometimes takes it and puts it on his shirt, I don't know. You know, the Shulchan Aruch says you have the right to put on each beged another chagura, but it's hard to understand because that was those days. Bizmanehem, bizmaneinu, no one's putting another belt on his shirt. You look very strange wearing another belt in your shirt. So it's hard to understand why there should be a heter to wear on your shirt. It's only aser midrabanan. So I don't have you don't have a chiyuv machal. But I don't see the tzarich and the hana putting on the shirt. The best place if someone's wearing it should be on a tzitzis. And the problem is you have ladies, and ladies also want to take their keys out. And I see some of these ladies who also do this. And the ladies mamish, it's a chochav etzlula. It doesn't even look nice. So there's no tzarich at all. Yesh la'ayim b'zeh. Maybe we could say that once Chazal were kivet, once the halacha is you're allowed to put in every beged, it's nisha that way, or we're going to say no. Or we're going to say no, because Manenu things changed, and things should be different. I'm a little bit noite that things are different because in all the things in Hechel Seitzah go by derech levisha every day. Things keep on changing.
You remember years ago, people used to wear
tie clip. Yeah. And not only that, they used to make the tie clip, the back of the tie clip, the back half was the key. You used to be able to go into the hardware store and they would form, like all of you remember, form the key.
Is it mutter this also?
Yeah, because then it becomes part of the actual... If it's actually serving the back half, what was it? The key was the back half of the tie pin?
Right.
Then it's mutter, because if you just take the key and attach it to the tie pin, it's no good. Even if
it's a part of attachment.
If the key actually serves a purpose on the tie clip, but it's that back half of it, then it's mutter. But if you have already a back half and you just attach it, it wouldn't be good. Even though it's attached, it's considered carrying. Just because it's mechuber doesn't make it mutter. There was another oifen people used to do. They used to actually make it part of that belt. And this is discussed in Shulchan Aruch. You were also among people that used to make it a piece that sticks inside the holes on your belt. They used to have the hardware store put in the key in there, clip in the key, and put the key in.
But then you have to take
Today people don't do this anymore. Most people have combination today. The combination became very popular, and it's very easy. And so most people use combination locks. So this became the whole shaila of keys and forgetting keys and losing keys and Shabbos became. That's why you don't. My father told me he went not long ago. He went into a store and he asked him to do it. They look at him like he fell from the moon. We don't do such things, you know. Who does this? But years ago, that's what everyone did. They made time. The ladies. This is something I don't really understand. But the ladies would wear like a nice flower, like a gold flower. And they would have the key attached, and it was like a pin, and they would pin it to their dress, and it looked nice. But the thing is, I don't understand really. I have to take a look at one. I'll have one to see, but I don't see what purpose the key serves. If the key is just attached with not having a purpose, it's usher. You can't just attach a key. The reason why you're allowed to put a key on the belt is because those keys and the clips are making your belt longer. But if it wouldn't make your belt longer, he would just attach it to the elastic, it would be a problem. Even if you put it on and you attach it to your belt very strongly, that in order to take it off, it will crack. It doesn't make a difference. Just because you attach something doesn't make it not a massa.
Don't they do it on a rubber band, like a stretch?
Yeah. So there, when they're doing it and they're making the chagura longer, it becomes a chagura arucha. The Taz brings up this thing. He doesn't discuss keys. The Taz brings up this eitzah regarding carrying your handkerchief on Shabbos. Then everyone would take their handkerchief wherever they went. There's no tissue boxes all around. So everyone had their own handkerchief. It was mamash covered abriyas to have your handkerchief with you. So there's no tissues anywhere. There was no pile of handkerchiefs. Everyone carried their own handkerchief wherever they went, and you see the older people still go around with the handkerchief. So the Maisa, they had to figure out different ways in Shabbos how to go out the handkerchief.
It's part of their
So one of the Taz says, one of the ways is to make a tie on the handkerchief onto your belt, or make a belt out of your handkerchiefs. So you have a belt. So therefore today people use this out to say, instead of my handkerchief I'll put my key on and I make it longer. This became where the whole mahalach came from. This eitzah was the Taz's chiddush, and the poskim, not everyone agreed. The Taz says it's enough to even tie it on with a bow, with an aniva. It doesn't have to be a kesher shakayama, so you could do it even on Shabbos. Masha'inkin, the other poskim disagree, and a lot of poskim hold that has to be kesher shakayama, so you'd have to before Shabbos. Then Lamaisa, the way they're making these things now, they have clips. So some people say it's not a kesher shakayama, it's no good. Some people say, what is the whole point of kesher shakayama? It shouldn't fall off. Well, if it's on a clip, it's not going to come off, so it's good enough. And that's why the oilam is makel with these clips. Let me get into Maidiv.